Welcome to Trekommendations, the show that brings on a Star Trek fan to share with us something that is one of their favorites in the world of Star Trek. Joining us today is the very talented Shez, or as you might know her, LilVoyagerComics. Welcome to the show.
Hey there, thank you for having me. It's great to be here. As I said to you before, but I want to have it on the record, I'm a big fan of the podcast. I've seen every episode and it's the most of any podcast I've ever seen. So, such a great idea. Thanks for doing it.
Well, I mean, that's going to make the cut no matter what, so that's good. Thank you. Uh, and there's not been that many episodes yet, so that's it. I'll call back in episode 100, and I'll be like, "Are you still listening to every
Are you
single
still
episode?"
watching? I feel pretty confident I will be, but yeah, let's check in and see.
Yeah, and we'll just address it for anybody who's watching this, not listening to it. You are a real person,
Yep.
but we're,
I'm
you're a woman of mystery, and so we're just using one of your comics as your avatar for this. So, which is great in theory, but I realize when I'm editing this back together, I'm going to be like, oh, that's too much of my stupid face, and there's nothing to counter it.
Maybe I'll
But
give you some reaction comics to
yes,
go in
yeah,
there so
thank
you
you.
can change it up. But
I'll
yes, I'm
appreciate that.
keeping International Woman of Mystery going at the moment.
Hey, no. Look, some people have joined Section 31, and we just have to allow them to live that life, don't we? So
Exactly, exactly. I can't say too much.
wonderful. Okay. Well, you can't say too much, but hopefully you can answer a few questions because it's always nice to calibrate our guests a little bit. So we have some calibration questions for you. And I've tried to make it so that you can't just say Voyager for all of them. So the first question is, if you had to serve on a non-Starfleet ship,
Mhm.
where would you go?
Non-Starfleet ship. See, the challenge is going to be not answering with the Voyager reference for all of these, but the first thing that comes to mind is I think it's called the Raven. It's the ship that Seven's parents ran, and they got assimilated by the Borg. So, a bit of a question mark as to why I'm saying this, but I was like, found it fascinating, this couple and their child just traveling through the Delta Quadrant, studying the Borg, and living this sort of risky life at the same time. So, I would serve on that ship, kind of experience that life, but then with, the foresight, I'm going to get out of there before they get assimilated by the Borg.
Yeah. Yeah, not warn them. Just just be like, "Oh, I've just remembered, I think I left the kettle on in the Alpha Quadrant. I've gotta go, sorry."
Hey,
And
the
then,
Temporal Prime directive has been heavily drilled into me.
yes, okay, well, you should have a word with Janeway then. Right. That's a good answer, though, that's a good answer. I wasn't sure what to expect. Was it I'll be on a Vulcan science vessel, I'll be on a Klingon bird of prey and, singing songs and drinking blood wine. No, no, I'm gonna go
Ooh,
and
see,
study
that
the
sounds
Borg.
fun too.
Yeah, it's all fun and games until you get stabbed in the back. That's that's when
Exactly,
things
that's true.
change.
That's true. So yeah, I'm happy with my, study the Borg and get out just in
Yes.
time.
Okay. Just remember that last bit. Very
Yeah.
important. If you could greenlight any Star Trek project,
Mhm.
what would you want it to be?
Mm, so my answer to this question until Starfleet Academy that we have coming out would have been an Academy series.
Right.
So since we are already getting that, do you know what I would love to see? I'd love to see like a Star Trek TV show about a young Janeway. Like, how does she get to where she is? We've had a bit of a background. She references her past on the Voyager show, but I think it'd be fascinating to kind of see, her in her early years studying. The only problem is I can't imagine anybody else playing Janeway, but I feel like I would love to see it because she's been so sort of instrumental in
Mm.
sort of me. I've been watching Star Trek since I was 11 years old, and whenever there's a moment of doubt, I'm like, what would Janeway do? So it'd be interesting to see like a young Janeway and how she navigates, like, youth, the teenage years, Starfleet Academy, that kind of thing.
Yeah. What's great is you can actually probably buy one of the like WWJD necklaces, and people will be like, "Oh, is that a what would Jesus do?" And you're like, "No, no, no. This is a what would
No,
Janeway
no.
do?" That's
I have actually thought of that, so
yeah,
this is not
very
new
clever.
to me.
No, no, that's it. That's interesting because we think about we have like prequel, like Strange New Worlds is kind of a prequel series, isn't it?
Mhm.
We're looking at what happened leading up to the Enterprise. But the idea of seeing some of these characters in their youth is interesting. I feel like oh, this might be controversial now. This
Mhm.
might end me being the nice positive guy. But as much as like Prodigy, brilliant, really good show. Took
Yeah,
me ages to start watching it because I was watching other stuff and I was like, oh, ultimately it is like a kids show, so I'll get to it when I've got time. And then I watched it and I was
yeah,
like, oh, this is a great show. And Lower Decks is, it's a great fun show, but it's a fun, silly show.
yeah,
And I feel like we waste animation a little bit because a young Janeway or a young Picard or whatever, that could actually maybe have worked as an animated show. Because
yeah,
then, as you're right, like, I don't know who we could have to play them. Well, we won't have someone else play them. We'll have them play themselves. It's just a voice role, and they can do some edits, make them sound a bit
yeah.
younger maybe. But yeah, okay, I love it. A young Janeway, why not? Why not? I know some listeners will be happy with that, and I know which listeners you are as well. So very good. Um, and this then might be too easy an answer for you, but if you could have a 1 hour conversation with any character in Star Trek,
Yeah.
who would you want it to be?
I mean, it's a no-brainer for
Yeah,
me. Like I said, the story of how I got into Star Trek is really quite interesting because I'll try to do the brief version. My mom, I was like, single child, only of a single, like, parent, and my mom, only child of a single parent is what I'm trying to say. And when I was 11, my mom married my stepdad, and he was a great guy, but having somebody come into that dynamic was challenging. And at 7 o'clock every day, he used to watch Star Trek, and whenever he would do it, I'd be like, "Oh my god, what a geek!" Like, of course he would be watching Star Trek. And then one day he wasn't home, and a Naomi episode, I think that's like people will know the one I mean, came on. And I was just like, I didn't know I was watching Star Trek. And then Janeway came on, and she was like this perfect blend of kind of like, I was like, oh, this is who I want to be when I grow up. Because she's still soft and has her humanity intact, but she's still respected and people firm and people take her seriously. And so I started watching Star Trek from that day with my stepdad. And one of the reasons why Voyager means so much to me is it's kind of like helped our relationship. So the reason why I would pick Janeway is because, I want to be like, give me some life advice. I need it. So that's what I'd use my 1 hour for. I'd be like, here are all my problems. I feel like you'd be able to solve them. Um, hit me, please.
yeah. Well, because I was curious to know, that's the other side of it, isn't it? It's like you have this 1 hour conversation. Who is it going to be? And
Yeah.
depending on who I'm asking this question to, this question will come back, I'm sure. But it's interesting to hear like who they pick and the reason behind it. And I think that's an incredible like real world reason why you want to speak to us. So that's really nice. But then it is, what do you do in that? You've got because 1 hour is not enough time for Scotty to teach me how to build the Enterprise, right? Like it's not enough time. So if I've only got 1 hour, who am I picking and what am I going to talk about? And I just love the idea that you've come in with like a little notebook. Right. Here, here's the top 10 issues with my life at the moment, Janeway.
Yeah.
If you've got time, can we just go through some of these and you can give me some advice?
I mean,
And
the
is it,
reality will probably be what happened when I met Kate Mulgrew, where I was like, I've loved you since I was 11.
yeah,
So
is that
yeah, I
what
think
you'll
she
say to
thinks I'm a
Janeway?
bit of, if she remembers me, she will remember me as a bit of a weirdo. But yeah, I hope I'll be prepared with my notebook for Janeway.
Okay. Has she seen any of your, do you reckon anyone's sent her any of your comics?
I mean, I would love it if they had. That would be a dream come true, but not that I know of. If anybody
Okay.
can get
I'll
my
start.
comics to Kate Mulgrew, put it out there.
Yeah. We'll just I'll just start tagging her in them. When you put new ones out, I'll post them and I go, oh, that's so Janeway. Tag at Kate Mulgrew.
I love
Eventually
that.
she'll see it.
I'll
Eventually she'll
keep
see it.
persevering.
Yeah. And then she'll come back and find this episode and then she'll come on the show. That's the that's the that's
I
the
would
story
love
I'm telling
that. I
myself.
would love Kate Mulgrew's Trekommendation, or even her calibration questions. I'm here for it.
Yes.
I'll
Okay.
be manifesting that for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And if everyone else can do the same, that would be great. All right. Well, I'm just going to add something to the screen. Don't get nervous, but it's a
Oh
clock.
God, the pressure.
Yes. Well, pressure makes diamonds, as they say, right? So, Shez,
Okay,
if
I'm
you are
ready.
ready, you have 60 seconds or less. Could you tell us your Trekommendation, what it is, and why you've
Mhm.
brought it to the show?
Okay, here goes. So I am recommending the Full Circle. I'm going to get out the shot. Series of Star Trek novels by Kirsten Beyer. Although I personally don't feel this way, it's sort of a reoccurring criticism that we never found out what happened to the Voyager crew after they got back to the Alpha Quadrant. And this series offers what I feel like is a possible outcome in such a thoughtful and well considered way. One of the things I love about Voyager is the found family vibes, and this series of books really captures that. In a way that is true to the characters. It really tries to honor them. Even the new characters are compelling. It's not only good track, it's kind of a good read. It's well written. It takes you on a good space adventure. And if you are a JC shipper like me, then I think you will be very satisfied as well.
Amazing. Look at that. Even with time to
With
spare.
time to spare. Excellent.
I tell you what, people are getting better and better at doing this.
I felt a lot of pressure, not gonna lie. I was like, oh God, can I get all my words out in time? Have I sold
Y-
it? That's the question.
I think you have. I think you have. There were a couple of things you said. What do I pick out first? So, I mean, first of all, when you said Voyager books, it's like, okay, is this a side quest? Are we, obviously we didn't see everything that happened to them in their time in the Delta Quadrant. So are we just, you know, picking up is this just an episode of the week that we didn't see? No, this is the end of the story kind of thing. So
Yeah.
that's interesting. You've mentioned new characters, which
Mhm.
the episode that it will have been impossible for you to hear because, as you well know, I've only just recorded it, but we talked about a book and we talked about new characters, and that was something
Mhm.
I'm always keen on knowing more about. Uh, but we've got to talk about the JC shipping first of all. I think that's where we need to start because you can't just drop a little bomb like that and me not pick up on it. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing, did you enjoy Prodigy then?
So I really did enjoy Prodigy. It was, I'm probably biased that if you have Janeway in anything, I'm like, yes, I'm here for it. I enjoyed it. But more than that, you can tell the creators kind of really love Star Trek. They really kind of put a lot of thought and care into the story. And especially season two is like such a sophisticated and interesting story that I think, would have been worthy of any Star Trek series.
Mhm.
So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I know some of the JC stuff in there people were not happy with, but I'm happy with the little tidbits and breadcrumbs they drop. Sometimes it's nicer to have your fantasy world than to get it delivered to you and then maybe not quite feel entirely satisfied. Now
Yeah.
I can let my imagination do the work.
Yeah, I mean, I felt there was a very strong Janeway Chakotay, you know,
Yeah.
presence in that show of the lengths she would go to kind of get him back to help him out, and when they finally like reunite, I mean, I think it's pretty clear. I think it's pretty clear how everyone in that room feels. Um, so that's interesting. So again, I don't want massive spoilers because
Yeah.
if these are good books, I'm hoping people will listen to this and go, "I love Voyager. I want to know more about how it ended." I wasn't. Well, you actually, let's circle back to
Yeah.
something else you said.
Okay.
You said, some people feel this way. You don't necessarily feel this way. But so were you satisfied with how Voyager wrapped up and the conclusion and not necessarily seeing, you know, the next 6 months of what happened when they got back to Earth kind of thing?
Yeah, so I think there's something about so I watched Endgame when I was very young, probably 11 or 12. And there's something about watching it, I think, at that age where you're kind of just like a taker of the story. You're not so thinking too critically about it. So I think
Mm,
firstly it stems from that. But even when I rewatched it, I've never kind of felt like, oh, I think this ending should have been done differently, or I would like to know what happened to them when they got back to the Alpha Quadrant, because I think I'm not sure that what they would have done would have been satisfying, or if it had been satisfying to me, it may not have been satisfying to somebody else. And right now, kind of like I can imagine what I think is the best outcome for all my favorite characters, and I'm very content to do that. And then you have like people have written great fan fiction. I'm not afraid to say that I read fan fiction, and some of it's done very well. And then you obviously have books. I mean, this is the last book in the series, but you have a whole like the whole series. Um, and this is, as I said in my like 60-second little intro, it's done so well. Like she thinks of like Kirsten Beyer, the author, thinks she kind of really captures the characters, and she tries to do like the best by them to take them on a journey through the series of books, but while also putting them in scenarios that make it interesting, conflict, and you have a story going on. And so that's kind of one of the reasons why I like it. Like I read these books and I'm like satisfied with the outcome for the characters.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. I understand what you mean because I think especially when it's been running for years and we know these characters so well, and we're all different. So when we look at experiences that characters go through, we pick onto different bits of it. And you're like, oh, that's why
Yeah,
that, I really like this character because of this. And I'm like, oh, I never really thought about that element of the character. I really like the same character, but I like them because of this element. So for me, them getting back to Earth is being able to do this. And for you,
yeah,
them getting back to Earth is the fact that they could do that. And you're right, like if they're gonna film it, they're only gonna film one of those.
yeah,
So one of us is going home disappointed at this point. Um, or there's it's that as you said, found family, right? So there's so many
mhm,
characters that would we get to go and experience what every single character saw when they got back and how their life had changed and the direction it was going to go in? Because again, if you don't do everyone,
yeah,
don't do anyone, right? Because if you do some and not others, then you're like, oh, but my favorite character, we don't know what happened to him, but we know what happened to Tom Paris, but we don't know what happened to Harry Kim. There we go.
yeah.
So, so I,
And
I
one of the
understand.
things, sorry, go on.
You go on. You go on. You're the
No,
guest.
no, no. No, I was just gonna say one of the things that like some people have said to me, one of the nice things about having the Little Voyager Comics Instagram is I get to chat these kinds of things with people all the time. And one of the things someone said to me recently was, like, whenever there's a new like Star Trek Voyager comic out, and she's like, it was really interesting, but I kind of just want to see them settle down. I don't want to see them off into some crazy adventure. They need some time to like calm down and
Yeah.
like, center themselves having been on this stressful journey. And I feel like, this series of books does that, but then also sends you on a
Right.
very interesting adventure. So yeah, that was just the point I was gonna make.
Yeah, because it is interesting because I mean, it would be different if they had spent 70 years getting home, right? It would be a very different issue. But because it was only a number of years, you get back and you're
Mhm.
like, well, I'm home now. Great. But I still have to live a life. Like, what do I do now? Because do you leave Starfleet and say, well, yeah, I've done, but then what do you do? Well, what are you going to go off and do? So it makes sense that kind of you'd be back, but it's almost that reset, isn't it? Of like, oh well, I'm back, but I guess I've got to get on another ship and go back to work. Like this
Yeah,
is my job. So, and also they're all passionate about it. They all love what they do. Maybe they love it a little bit less after they got stranded in the Delta Quadrant, but
yeah.
they,
I mean,
they
I
all
don't
joined
think they're
joined
getting back
Starfleet
to
for
the
a
Alpha
reason.
Quadrant. Yeah, I don't think they're getting back to the Alpha Quadrant and then like, put me on the next ship out. I'm hoping they're having a
No.
bit of respite. And then, I mean, some of them are just like Janeway, they're just natural explorers and they want to be out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I see that happening as well. So that happens in this series of books. There is very sort of very interesting plot lines. There are, as I said before, new characters, new species, but they also throw back to some of the things we know from Voyager, and it's done in a way that's just not lip service. So I was reading
Right.
an interview with the writer, and she was like, I tried not to do something just because I want to say, hey, we're bringing back the Borg or species 8472. I try to do it because it really lends itself to like the broader story I'm trying to tell and the sort of themes I'm trying to explore in each book. And I think that really comes across in the writing. It's also very well written. So these books came out kind of when I was sort of leaving school, starting work, and like I highlighted so many passages. I was like, oh, this is relevant to me. There's seven dealing with, being a perfectionist. There's dealing with grief. There are just so many things going on that's so well written that I feel like even if it wasn't a Voyager series, that I've been like, this is a really good, thoughtful, compelling series of books.
So that's an interesting point, isn't it? Because that sometimes you do feel like, oh, we've just stuck a stamp on it. Here's something that won't sell. Stick a Star Trek sticker on it. Oh, okay, now it's a Star Trek book. All right, some people go and buy it, even if it's not good. Um, which is again, and I keep banging this drum and promoting my own show, which sounds stupid, but like sort of the concept of this show was there's a lot of stuff out there that says Star Trek, and that
Yeah,
doesn't mean it's all good. So how do we find the good stuff? Well, we get people to come on and tell us what's good. And so here you are saying that yes, okay, it's a Star Trek book. Yes, it's a Voyager book, and that's my favorite thing is Voyager and is Star Trek. But it's also just a good book in its own right. So if it had been written about a different cast of characters and a different thing, it would still work like as
yeah.
a engaging story. So I guess that's a positive, isn't it? That's got to be a positive. You've mentioned new characters, so I
Mhm.
don't, we don't need massive spoilers, but who are some of the new characters that show up, and do they do they blend well? This was a conversation we had with Jessie, was about in the books that she was recommending. It was how well, because spots had opened up on the Enterprise that needed to be
Mhm.
filled. There were these new characters, and how well they blended with these established characters that we know so well.
Yeah.
Um, how do the new characters fit in this book and in this universe?
So I'll preface this by saying I don't generally read a lot of Star Trek books for some of the reasons we've discussed, where it feels like, they've just it's an easy way to sell something by sticking the Star Trek label on this. And I actually picked
Yeah,
this up because of like I read about the JC element and then I was like, oh wow, I have to read them all. Um and so the without giving any spoilers, there's a new mission. There our favorite characters are back, most of them, and they have a bunch of new characters. And I'm like, oh, new characters. They, don't fit. You have this preconceived notion about the characters, and the new characters coming in. You're like, how can I love these people as much as I loved the existing characters? But they're really fleshed out in a way. So there's like what Voyager really needed. There's a counselor on who joins sort of this mission. Um, and he is just he's a bit of a sort of antagonist at times, but he's also slightly awkward and very endearing. There are new captains who are sort of involved in this mission, and they've all got a range of personalities. There's no lip service. To kind of like our existing characters. There's conflict between them. Um, and I think she just probably has very natural sort of like I said before, it's very, very well written. So you get the sense that these are characters that have fully developed backstories and like personalities and lives. And the way she drops them in is done in a way where she acknowledges that without spending too much time on it. And she's kind of
right.
thought about how it interplays with the existing characters as well. So they kind of complement each other or challenge each other in ways that are really interesting. Like she's not averse to talking about the flaws of some of our favorite characters. And I'm like, oh yeah, I see that. I didn't think about this character that way before. Um, so that's kind of the value of the new characters bring is also in sort of making us see the characters we know in a different light.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good, because I guess you're just like, I mean, it happens. If you work in an office and you've got 10 people and you've all worked together for ages, and then someone new comes in, and there's that kind of classic like, why does so and so do this? And you're like, oh, that's just John.
Yeah,
That's just a John thing. And yeah, but that's not normal. And it's just, oh well, we're so used to it now because we've all worked together for so long that we don't even register that it's weird. But you've come in from the outside and you're like, yeah, that's it's probably not the best that he does that, to be honest. Like that's not
yeah,
not good for him. And it's the same as this this found family that had this one goal of getting home and had to put up with quirks and behavioral things that people did just because they were like, well, we can't get them sent to another ship, can we? This is it. Like this is we're all together.
Yeah,
And somebody new coming in and getting to look at that and be like, I don't know. I don't know if that's the best that they do
yeah.
that. Um, I've got to ask this then. Is Neelix still on the ship?
So it's true to kind of like what happened in the series. I'm trying to. The reason I'm pausing a little is because I'm trying to make sure that I don't give too much away. But I will say that he is in the series of
Right.
books.
Okay.
So I think almost all the characters that we know, and even some that you might not have thought about so much, make appearances. Like Q Junior, he's in there.
Oh,
um
really?
Axum, so who we will know from Seven of Nine, who I'm gonna call him her Borg bestie. Um, he makes an appearance. So there are a lot of these like little throwbacks. If you are a big Voyager fan, you'll be reading things and you're like, oh my God, it's great to see so and so again. Haven't thought about you in a while.
Nice. Oh, I mean, it's it. Oh, see, this is interesting because that's
Yeah,
you know, characters showing up. I don't know if some people might say, "Oh, spoilers, sorry, you should have told it." But to me, that's like it's not the fact that they show up; it's the how is it that this person is showing up? Why would this person show up? Like that's the intrigue. That's what's getting me in. That's why I'm
yeah.
now thinking, oh,
I kind of
now I
feel
need.
comfortable saying it because I don't think you can. Like, haven't you don't know. You don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's it, isn't it? It's like okay, I can tell you this person's going to be there, but right now work out why and how they're there. You know, I
Yeah,
have no idea. Like, well, exactly. Read the book. So that's
yeah.
interesting,
I mean,
interesting.
there are 10
Um,
books in the series, so,
really.
there's a lot. There's a lot that goes on.
So the 10 books in the series,
Mhm.
she wrote them all. So she wrote
Yeah,
all 10 books. Are they all set from Voyager's return on?
yeah,
Wow.
that's right. So it's kind of like starts at the beginning of so it actually picks up from a series of books that I did read but a very long time ago and don't really remember so well. So don't no exam questions on that. And then it sort of picks up from there, the early days of their return to the Alpha Quadrant, and then it kind of spans a few years after that. So it kind of deals with the immediate fallout of coming back to the Alpha Quadrant, and then sends them off on things anew. And we kind of see what's happened with all our favorite characters. There's like, and their lives. I was about to veer into spoiler territory, and their lives once they come back, and sort of the things that they struggle with. There are a lot of like very like you know passages in there where I'm like, oh, I need to remember this in my own life.
Oh, really? It's that deep.
Yeah. I think there's
This is
one
that
for
conversation you wanted to
yeah,
have with Janeway before, right? So you're like, "Oh,
yeah.
I don't need to have a sit down chat with Janeway to get the I just read the book and the answers will present themselves."
Yeah, sometimes I can be like quite hard on myself, and there's a passage about like Seven and her perfectionism, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I gotta remember this. So I think that's another reason why I like these books. I'm like, oh yes, there's some good life advice in here. I don't have to read a self-help book. I can read Voyager and like remind myself that I
Yeah.
need to be a bit more chill sometimes.
Yeah. So if someone's going to find these in the library, you're like, "Yeah, look in the sci-fi section. If they're not in the sci-fi section, maybe go over and look check self-help." Somebody might have
Yeah, exactly. I need
Shez
to
has been here and
reshelve
she's
them
just
in my
moved them
library.
moved them to another in your library, in your personal library. Wow.
Well, my
Extensive.
personal library being like a few bookshelves, but hey, I'm calling it a
Yes.
library.
Very good. But I like that you've categorized it into into different sections, and this is now going in self-help. So that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I mean, okay, I don't know if this is a spoiler, but I guess it would be rude not to ask.
Mhm.
Harry Kim still an ensign, or did he?
People who are championing better for Harry will not be disappointed. Let's just say that.
Okay, very good.
Um,
Um, and so the Janeway Chakotay situation that
mhm,
you're very happy with.
yeah.
Again, no spoilers, but what is it that you're so happy about? I should say then.
Um, I mean, it's kind of obvious, but
Yeah, but well,
I'm trying to be cryptic without giving too much away. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go on.
no, I because you're like it's kind of it's like okay, but is it like so we said about Prodigy, right? Where it's
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
explicitly like,
Okay,
hey,
I
we're
get it. Yeah,
together, but it's very like, well, clearly they love each other. Like, look at this, look at the way they're acting. You don't act that way just to anybody, kind of thing. Um,
yeah.
is it more kind of
It's
the way they're
overt.
behaving implies something, or it's just like, hey,
It's overt. We see them
yeah,
in moments where they are together alone, and having honest and open conversations. So but it's done in a way where it's not the focus of the story. I think, whenever the whole Janeway Chakotay thing comes up and people are like, should she have been in a relationship with somebody who was her subordinate? Would it have distracted her from her duties? Um, and then there are people who are like, then it becomes the whole focus of their dynamic. It's done in
mm,
a way that's kind of like, we're giving it to you, but it's not. It's almost so like, it's casual.
yeah.
It's just part of this bigger piece. And I mean, for me, when I first started reading it, which was, as I said before, the like main reason I was reading it, I was like, where are the tidbits? Where do I have to look? But it's actually woven into the story so well, that I think, the people who are not big JCs are going to be like, oh God, should I read this book? And it's my answer to that is you should anyway, because it's not like the focus. You're not going to be reading about their passionate love affair. Um, there's not a whole book dedicated to the whole thing.
No, well, because that's the thing, isn't it? When you're talking about like fanfic, and if
Mm,
it's like a fanfic that focuses on that would be the focus, right? That would be a,
mm,
this is this love story that I've written about Janeway and Chakotay, and the whole and there's not even a B plot. It's just
yeah,
that's all it's about, right? Um, whereas what you want is it to be normal and just a subtle, not I don't know if subtle is the right word, but it's just like this is just in a story about all this stuff that's going on. And one of the elements is the fact that we're in this relationship, and obviously that comes across when I'm in my downtime or when we're in this situation or that situation.
yeah,
But actually, what we're doing is chasing this alien across the galaxy. That's why we're here, kind of thing. Like that's the main thing we're doing, but we're doing it together. And so
yeah,
that's sort of on the set. Okay, very good. So everyone's happy. You're happy. People that are like, I mean, I was gonna say people that were championing Chakotay 7. I don't know if that exists. I'm not sure anybody was ever championing that, to be honest. Um, it's
I
just a
feel like
thing, isn't it?
there is a minority, but we let people have their ships. There are room for all the ships.
Yes. Yeah. Pick a timeline, and that's your timeline, and you can have the ship that you
Exactly.
want there. Wonderful. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. It's hard. I really like the book recommendations. We've had a few now.
Yeah,
What I like them because I enjoy the Star Trek books, but there's too many. And so it is
yeah,
nice to be able to kind of narrow your focus and be like, okay, I like these. And I'm thinking of, previous guests I've had that have been like, oh, I'm getting into the books, but and maybe it's particularly Voyager books. So it's like, here you go, perfect. That's the one for you. But I've realized it's hard to talk about them without giving away too many spoilers. And then
yeah.
at the same time, it's which I'm don't really worry about spoilers too much, but I imagine people are like, well, I came for a recommendation, and and you've recommended a book, and then you've given away the ending, so we're not going to go any further on this. I'm going to leave it there. Your recommendation is that everybody should read it.
Yes, I think if you are a Voyager fan, if you like well-written books, you should read them. And I will say that, as I said before, like, I mentioned there are 10 books. We haven't even like touched the surface of what happens in them. So you will there's a lot to discover. So fear not about
Okay,
spoilers. I would say to your uh listeners and viewers.
yeah, the fact that you're happy if you like Jade Wage Go together does not ruin 10 books worth of adventure. Okay, good to know.
I will say
Um,
this though, if you're a Janeway fan, you might have to persevere a little bit. That's all I'll say.
Oh, whoa, right. Okay, hold on. If
No,
you're a
no, no, no,
Janeway
no.
fan, I can't ask anything. No follow-up
No, no,
questions.
no. No follow-up questions allowed. I debated whether I should say that or not, but then the reason why I said it was because if someone's like, "Oh my god, she's a huge Janeway fan," and I picked up this book.
Right.
So I'm just making sure that's out there.
Okay. If you're a huge Janeway fan,
Mhm.
you have to persevere,
Mhm.
but you won't be disappointed.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So it's
Yes,
not like,
yes.
all right, that's fine. Because I think people can persevere if they know that it will be worth it in the end. Like there's a good payoff, and you'll get your Janeway fix, and you'll be happy.
You'll get
Um.
your Janeway fix.
Okay. All right. For all you Janeway heads out there, you'll get your Janeway fix. Don't worry.
Yeah.
All right. Wonderful. Well, Shez, that's been interesting. That's great. It's just going to add another thing to my list. This show's backfired slightly for me, I've realized. In
Has
that
it? In
suddenly,
what way?
yeah. Oh, in that suddenly I've got loads of books and stuff I need to read, and I didn't
Oh,
think
I
about that.
see. Of course.
So
I
on
mean, I
top
was going
of,
to say the same thing to you. Your podcast is going to be expensive for me. I had there were like, the outfits. I'm like, oh, do I need one of those? I think I might need a Janeway uniform.
yeah. Okay, there you go. Well,
The book your mom recommended, I want to read that too. So,
yeah,
I you're not struggling alone. And I suspect other people who are following along have the same problem.
yeah. And as I announced on again an episode you won't have heard yet because I'm doing really well at recording these in advance, but you will hear it very soon. Um, I'm going to be doing a bonus show on the Patreon
Ooh.
where I'm going to review Trekommendations that I've received.
Oh,
Yes.
I
So
I am intrigued. I would definitely want to see what your views are on some of these things.
yeah.
I
So
realized I was going to say to you, sorry, go on.
no, you said what you were going to say to me.
Yeah, I was going to say to you that you do all these calibration questions and you ask everybody, you get a sense of everyone's Trek personality. And I suspect that you're
Yeah.
doing this deliberately, but like, your Trek personality needs to be explored too. What is your favorite Trek? You may not want to answer. I respect that,
Well,
but I'm just putting it out there that we don't know. You're
you don't
perhaps
know.
more of a
Well,
man of mystery than me and my avatar.
yes, but I show my face, and so people don't realize. So you see, it's all lights and mirrors. Well, the way I'm setting up this bonus show will
Yep.
be, I think Leah will do the first one.
Mhm.
That we're just going to flip the script. So they will host, and I will guest, I suppose.
Yeah.
And so I will have to sit through a couple of calibration questions and the likes, and then review the thing. So um, if I track down some of these books
Yep.
and give them a read, Shaz, I might have to get you back on, and you might get to come up with your own calibration questions. So
Oh my God, how exciting. Don't tempt me. I'm going to be pestering you. I'm going to be like, have you read the books yet? How about now?
okay,
Have you read them
all
yet?
right. Now I'm gonna have to find these books. All right, very good. Well, thank you so much. Also, because if people follow your social media, they know that you go through crazy busy times. So I know that you've been extremely busy. So I appreciate that you have made the time to come and share your recommendation with us. Um, and and also say that you're a fan of the show. So I appreciate those two things. As a fan of your show, you know
Hmm.
that before we let
Hmm.
any guest go, we have to give them the opportunity to ask for um, a recommendation, although apparently you're getting one every week from the show. But is there an area of the Star Trek franchise that you have not explored as fully as you would have liked and you would
Hmm.
like a recommendation about?
Yes, there are. I'm going to be a bit cheeky. Cheeky. There are two things. One of them is podcasts. So I obviously have your podcast, but as I said before, I kind of struggle to get into like podcasts to find good ones. So I know you obviously, and so if anyone has any other good Trek podcast recommendations, I am very keen to have them. So that's one. And then the other one is kind of a bit of a little Voyager comic nexus. So through doing the comics, I obviously interact with a lot of other people who do Star Trek art, but there's just so much out there. And I absolutely love seeing everybody's Star Trek, the art, the fan art that they do. And so I'm keen to just see more. So if anyone does art and we've never interacted, I don't know, drop a comment. Help me find
Yeah.
you. I love Star Trek art.
Okay, so we're looking for artists and their art, Star Trek art, and then pod. Can I ask a follow-up question to the podcasts?
Yes, hit me.
What kind of thing do you want? Are you looking for, deep dives into the science of Star Trek? Are you looking for episode reviews? Is it like audio dramas? What would scratch the itch for you when you think about Trek podcasts?
I really, and
Just
it's
so we
from your
can narrow the scope.
Yeah. No, no, that makes sense. There must be a whole see, this is how little I know. You're making me realize that there must be a whole universe of podcasts out there. But from watching or listening to your podcast, what I really like, especially not just the recommendations, are the calibration questions. So when you're like, if you could build your own crew, who would you build, who would you have, or which first officer would be the first officer to your captain. I just love hearing people just talk about their ideas and their sort of views on Star
Right.
Trek. So that's
So
the kind of thing, when I was listening, I was like, I need more of this.
right. So like open discussion on
Yeah.
on topics is what you want. Okay, very good. Lovely impression of me. Thank you so much for that.
I
I
wasn't aware
wasn't
I was
expecting
doing
that
one. I
today.
hope it was a good one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it and wonder myself. But no, lovely. Thank you very much. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for your recommendations, your bonus ones as well, and also a good couple of recommendations that we can send back to you. So if people are not already following you, I guess, is it just Instagram? Is that the one place they're going to
That's the
find?
one place. Yeah.
So head over to LilVoyagerComics and see some fun Voyager and Janeway. I like them because they're generally kind of with just one page. You just see
Yeah.
immediately you get it. It's just nice, crisp, clear, fun. Some really good ones on there as well. Let me know your
Oh, thank
favorites,
you.
people. If you go and find her stuff, find your favorite one and tag me and tell me this is the best one because I'd
Oh,
love
I'm
to know
keen
what
to know
people
that
think.
too, actually.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, one page because low effort. But I like your spin on it. Let's go with that. But no,
yeah.
thank you so much for having me. It's been so fun. I love being able to talk Trek with people. I love listening to people talk Trek, I've realized. And it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Well, you're gonna have to come back on now. That's the problem. So the door's been open. So start
Well, I
thinking
have
of your
many
next recommendation.
recommendations, so that's a
That's
breeze.
mu yeah, music to my ears because I'm hoping this show will run for a while. And, it sounds like you might have to come back on to host a show as well, so that'll be fun. Get ready for that. Right. Well, on that note, thank you everyone for listening. Go follow Lil Voyager Comics on Instagram while you're there. If you're not already following the Trekommendation stuff, you know where I am. It's Trekommendations everywhere. Facebook even now these days. Apparently it's coming back. Who knew? So I'm there. I'm everywhere. And maybe by the time this is out, that Patreon episode might have already dropped with Leah. I'm not 100% sure. But now there's probably another one coming as well. So that's something to look forward to. So thank you everyone. And I will be back next week with another guest and another Trekommendation.